So if you can't say anything nice. Just kidding, okay. So about this time last year, we went to see the Bowie exhibit at the MCA. As many of you did, I'm sure. And our grade school daughter went along rather grudgingly, but I hoped in time she would come to accept it. So we get there and there's a line, and I know we're already running out of patience points, but it moved pretty quickly, and we get inside, and we're maybe 10, 15 minutes into our Bowie experience when she leans over to me and says, "David Bowie is a very strange man." He is, I say, you know, he is. God love him, he is. We continue to move through the exhibit, and she's taken by a couple of things that I would have just sort of passed by. One of them is this video of young David Bowie, maybe in his late teens, early 20s, doing mime. A favorite of mine. So no time for mime, even if you're David Bowie. But my daughter is just entranced by this, and it's a loop of maybe a minute or two, and it keeps repeating, and so then she drags me over and I have to watch it and be enthusiastic, but not really so much. And we moved through the exhibit, and the other thing that caught her attention was this very simple box. I think it was even just this plain wooden box. It was sort of like a shadow box. And inside was a stage bill from the Broadway production of The Elephant Man and David Bowie's costume from the play. Now, if any of you were at the Bowie show, you know that all of his costumes are like this big. I'm a big girl, so I don't use that lightly, you know, for obvious reasons, but they're tiny, they're really tiny. So there's this costume, which is essentially a piece of soiled cloth that was wrapped around him in some fashion, sort of a diaper, sort of a toga diaper, soiled, in this box. And my daughter, who's then in 5th grade, is just thinking this is the greatest thing ever. And I can't figure it out. And then she says, I say, well, and I start to try to explain that he's an actor too, and he was in this play, but apparently she knows all about it. She says, there's a movie too. And I say, yeah, there is, but you know, David Bowie isn't in the movie. She said, I know, it's John Hurt, and he has an amazing performance. And I don't know how she knows this, and it turns out it's from drama class. Apparently they discussed this. But she's really sort of mesmerized by it, and she must have been sort of pondering this after the exhibit. She's probably pondering a lot of things after the David Bowie exhibit. And a few days later she says, you know, can we watch the movie? And I can't remember it. I watched it, you know, in 1980 or whenever it came out. Maybe I was in high school, maybe I didn't watch it later till I was in college. I can't really remember. I remember that it was sad, but I didn't remember anything really horrifying or offensive or violent about it. So I do this quick search, and it's PG. Fine, okay, PG. So let's, you know, bring on The Elephant Man. So we have a movie night, and we sit down with our popcorn and our blanket and start up the movie, and it's very stark, you know, black background, white credits, and they're coming up, and it's this really creepy sort of evil clown calliope music. And then, directed by David Lynch. Oh. Crap. How could I have possibly forgotten this very key element about the Elephant Man movie? And now it may be rated PG, but it's still going to be really disturbing. And so I'm trying to remember what the scenes are. I'm trying to remember if there's anything really horrible, really traumatic, and I can't, and I keep conflating it with that movie where Cher is the biker mom, and the kid is deformed, mask, and that's really Sunshine and Lollipops compared to David Lynch. And it's just all confusing to me, but I sort of feel like maybe it's going to be okay. And so we continue to watch the movie, and the very next thing is I'm thinking, well, okay, she's seen Bambi's mother get shot. She's seen every mother in every Disney movie be completely blown away. She's seen the noseless Voldemort in all the Harry Potter movies. How traumatized can she be by little David Lynch? Probably not that much. So the very next thing is this scene that I've completely forgotten, which is this sort of dreamlike sequence where a woman is being attacked by an elephant, or a couple of elephants maybe, but really not attacked, maybe raped. A woman is being raped by elephants. Great, that's totally appropriate for my 5th grader. But it's so weird and stylized and dreamlike that I think, you know, she probably doesn't really get it, because who would suspect that that's what was going on? So the movie goes on, and she's sympathizing with the Elephant Man. You know the story. It's a Victorian London, and the Elephant Man is this young man who's horribly disfigured, and his only way to make it in the world is to join a freak show. And he is in these just deplorable conditions. He's treated inhumanely. It's horrible. He lives in a horse stall, and it's dank, and it's miserable, and he eventually is sort of taken under the wing of a surgeon who is played by Anthony Hopkins. And I know what you're thinking. Our next mother-daughter movie night is not going to be The Silence of the Lambs. Though I do admit it's hard to pass up a nice Chianti. So the surgeon takes him under his wing, and he is going to help him physically, emotionally. He gets him this great room compared to what he's been used to at the hospital, a private room. He gives him clothes. You know, he's in time becomes, you know, social, comfortable. You know, things have really turned around for the Elephant Man. And one night, all of this is just totally turned on its ear when a rogue security guard is at the local pub, and he's telling all these drunken pubsters that he can get them in to see the Elephant Man up close and personal, you know, for a fee. And there's this really hideous, grotesque procession of these people who make their way from the pub to the hospital. And the poor Elephant Man is there, and he's, you know, sort of primping and pretending like he's, you know, being out on a date or something. I don't know. This is actually kind of sweet, but all of a sudden these people arrive, and they're really horrible. Just absolutely horrible. And they're jeering and taunting him, and there's this greasy man who has these 2 sort of whorish women with him, and, you know, he's licking them and kissing them, and he's pushing them toward the Elephant Man, who is horrified. And the women are horrified, but at least they have the, you know, the advantage of being drunk, unlike the Elephant Man. And eventually they're pouring liquor down his throat, and he's gasping because he's got these deformities, and it's horrible, and it's just really, really disturbing. And I'm sitting there watching it with my 5th grader. So I look over, and she's sitting there with her mouth hanging open and her eyes wide, like deer in the headlights wide. And they're filling up with tears. And the tears are slowly running down her face. And I say, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? This is kind of bad. Are you okay?" And she doesn't answer me, and so I ask her again. And she said, "I'm so mad." And I said, "That's understandable. You know, this is terrible. Why are they doing this?" She says. "Why are they doing this? How can they do this to him? It's not okay." And I said, "You know, I completely understand. It's horrible." And she said, "Turn it off." So I turned it off, and I'm really feeling like Mother of the Year, because I have traumatized my daughter David Lynch style. And I think, well, okay, let's turn it around. Let's make this a teaching moment. Maybe we'll talk about bullying or empathy or something like that, people who are different. And so I keep trying to get her to talk. You know, I've been to therapy. How does that make you feel? And she's really not very responsive. And all she keeps saying is, "I'm so mad. I'm so mad." So I said, "Well, what makes you mad? What do you want to say?" And she said, "I can't say it." And I said, "Come on, you could say anything." She said, "I can't say it. It would be swearing." And I say, "That's okay. Let her rip. It's all fair game. Anything you want to say is fine." But she's not so sure about this. So she goes in the other room and writes it down. And she comes back with this paper that's folded and then folded again just to make sure all the nastiness stays inside. And she's standing there with her fist, it's clenched in her fist, and she doesn't look like she's giving it over anytime soon. And I say, so, do you want to share that? How are you feeling about that? You know. And finally she says, okay, you could read it, but you have to go in the other room. Okay, fair enough, I oblige. I go in the other room, and I open it up, I unfold it, and there in the middle of this just white piece of printer paper is one sentence. And it's written absolutely perfectly. Her handwriting is impeccable, unlike mine. And every letter is perfectly formed, and every word is perfectly spaced. And the line in the middle of this white paper is perfectly straight, like an arrow. And there, in the middle of my paper, my then 10-year-old has written, "Fuck all you stupid bitches." And I'm not quite sure how to respond to that. Should I laugh? Should I cry? I don't know. And then I think about it for a minute, and I think that is exactly the perfect response. That is a response any humane, normal person should have. I'm proud of her. And I start to laugh, and she says, "Oh, you're not mad." And I said, "No, I'm not mad. You know, you nailed it, really." I get it. Now, I don't know where she got this from, and I tell her maybe it's not a good idea to repeat it in the future, but for this particular incident, it is just, it's really pretty much perfect. So I guess the moral of the story is if you have something to say that isn't anything nice, but you really need to say it, maybe you write it down and hand it to someone who will understand, and fuck all those stupid bitches.